physical education, and that was at least one credit, you know, 1,000 miles. You walk 1,000 miles, we'll give you a credit. And I lived in this wilderness, and they had, wow, this was a 9-credit course of the natural resources of the Kameniopsis wilderness. And I actually lived in that wilderness, worked as for the Forest Service building trail, and lived with a miner, so I kind of got a little bit of the history. There was a non-verbal communication class, 12 credits. I walked in to see the professor, and he just went, 12 credits for that. So when it was all over, I had 98 credits for the things that I did. I played the banjo, and that supported me with that. I got better at that. And I painted, and I wrote magazine articles about backpacking, and got credit for that. Wow, that was really good. So, and it only cost $75. So when I graduated, the school changed the rules that you could still do that, but you have to pay for each credit that you got. I was able to graduate for $75, which they just went, that's my dad came out to see me graduate with some relatives, and so now you're going to get into the place where you already know. He would say, listen, we're very proud of you, son. We're very proud that you could do this, but what are you going to do with a bachelor's degree? You don't ride in cars and you don't talk. And I would punch my shoulders, I would grab my banjo, and I would walk to the next place. And I walked up to Port Townsend, Washington, and I apprenticed as a boat builder, a wooden boat builder after college. That was my treat. And so I built my first boat in Port Townsend, a wooden boat, and rowed that across Puget Sound to Bainbridge Island, and continued walking all the way across Idaho and down into Missoula, Montana. Now, I want to give you a little bit of time, how time plays in this. In Missoula, Montana, I had written them 2 years earlier and made application to the University of Montana. And they said, oh, that's fine. We'd love to have you come to our school. And when will you get here? And I said, in 2 years, because I'm He said, that's great. Well, you know, we're waiting for you. And in 2 years, I show up there, and I'm sitting on the Jeanette Rankin Hall, which is the Environmental Studies office, and up walks the director, and he knows exactly who I am. I think the banjo was a dead giveaway. And he says, John Francis, he said, are you ready to go to school? And I signed. You know this sign, right? He did too. He said, oh, you don't have any money. Come back tomorrow, and I'll take care of it. Now, financial aid, right? We need financial aid. This was really creative financial aid. I came back the next day. He said, here is $150. This guy's giving me $150 in cash. I could be gone. He said, I want you to go register for 1 credit. You're going to South America, right? That's a long way away. Nodded in my head. He says, how about a reading and conference course for 1 credit, Rivers, Hydrological Systems of South America. That was even more academic than I wanted. But so I did that. I started reading about rivers, and he said, now this is what we're going to do. With this 1 credit, you are registered as a student here. So we can give you a key, and you can have an office because you're a graduate student. And now you can use a library. And we talked to all the professors that you're going to have to take classes from. And we said, listen, he doesn't have any money, right? We want him to take the class, take the exams, and you save the grade until we figure out how to get the rest of the money for him to register next quarter. And when he does that, he'll register for your class, but he won't have to take it because he already did, and you just give him the grade that he got. Really creative financial aid. And that's the school where I taught, you know, and was a TA and made the signs like that, and people, they kind of gathered around. I mean, I walked into that office, to the classroom, and I had a friend interpret for me for the first day. And she said, oh, my name is John Francis. And then, of course, all my class looked at me, and I said, this is an experiment. I've taken a vow of silence. I'm walking around the world, and they kind of went like this. This was before punk, so there was, I mean, if it was after, I'm sure they would be looking for the punk camera, whatever that is. There's sort of schedules because they were looking to see how they could get out of this class. This crazy guy. And they couldn't. They were like, oh, this was the last time. Everybody had to take this class. 2 weeks later, after we struck our accord and we were miming and having a good time, all the other students wanted to get into our section. And they said, oh no, John, no, it's just us. It's just us, let us. And so we just stayed at this, in our own section. We had the highest rating for the TAs in that quarter. And one of my colleague friends, he's a very good friend of mine, called his brother up and said, this guy, all my students want to go into his class. And I said, his brother said, well, why don't you do what he does? He says, no, you don't get it. He says, this guy doesn't talk. I said, yeah, I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, I get to graduate, and my dad comes again, and here I have a master's degree, and my father says to me, he says, look, I don't want you to think that your mother and I are not really very proud of what you're doing, but you don't ride in cars and talk. That's what you got to do. So I, hunch my shoulders, grab the banjo, and I keep walking. I walk to a town called Watertown, South Dakota, because I go through Idaho and across the Arco Desert and Wyoming and South Dakota, and I get to Watertown, South Dakota. And there I'm working as a printer. And I make friends with the Native community and the white community at Watertown. This is the first time they ever had this happen, but the Native community came and gave me a powwow right in Watertown, and the white community came as part of this powwow because they wanted to celebrate my walk and give me a send-off, and my dad came to see me here in Watertown, and he just was like befuddled. I don't know how you do this. I mean, you come to you don't even talk. And now you have all these people dancing together, native dancing. I don't know how do you do it. And I just kind of hunched my shoulders. I showed him a letter this time from the University of Wisconsin that I had made application to. And he looked at it and he said, looks like they want to give you money. Now, my dad was really good at knowing things like that. So I looked at that, I took that, I'm taking that to the bank, Dad, because you said so. That's probably what's going to happen. So they told me at the University of Wisconsin, if I can't find 5 professors that I want to work with and that want to work with me on a PhD, that I probably wouldn't be able to find them anywhere. So I scurried off to the University of Wisconsin, going down through Minnesota and into Wisconsin, crossing at La Crosse, and that's where you're from, right? And to Madison, Wisconsin. And I got there, and one of my best friends from Montana, the guy who called up and said, hey, they all want to get into my class. He was my best friend now, and he was there in Montana. And he said, I'm taking you down to the Union. I don't know how many people have been to the Union in Madison, Wisconsin, but it's on a lake. It's on a lake, and it's beautiful, beautiful lake. And when I walked down there the first time, they were playing, there was a band playing in a little shell, and sailboats sailing back and forth, and everybody swimming, and little skimpy things. And then people were drinking pitchers of beer and eating brats. And I saw the pitchers of beer, and this is the Union. I said, place of the devil. Down there no more. Of course, it just took me a couple months to get over that, and I was down there with everybody else. I did my dissertation on oil spills, and my friends were asking me, including my best friend, why are you writing on oil spills, John? Because no one's interested in them. I don't know, and I didn't know, except that it's why I started walking. And then something happened to change all that. Anybody know that? There was an oil spill, 1989. Which was it?
Exxon Valdez.
Exxon Valdez it was, 11 million gallons, and even counting more. Boom, boom, and then oil all over. And there was one person, though, studying oil spills in the United States at a PhD level. Only one person studying oil spills. The Admiral called up from the Coast Guard. Yes, Admiral Henn here. We would like to speak to John Francis. He's an oil spill expert.